Look down at your hand. You know it's yours, but that certainty is surprisingly fragile. In a classic psychology setup known as the rubber hand illusion, your real hand is hidden behind a screen, while a dummy hand is placed right in front of you. A researcher then strokes both with a paintbrush at the exact same time. Even if you actively remind yourself that the plastic hand on the table is fake, your brain eventually claims ownership of it. If someone suddenly threatens that dummy hand with a knife, you will inevitably flinch. If a simple piece of plastic and a paintbrush can trick your brain into feeling phantom pain, it raises a difficult question. Where exactly does your physical body end and your conscious mind begin? This sensory glitch exposes a fragile gap in how we understand ourselves. Our physical, biological parts and our thinking, conscious aspects have a heavily tangled relationship. For centuries, the default assumption has been that we are essentially non-physical minds pulling the strings of biological bodies. In the 16th century, philosopher René Descartes proposed a famous thought experiment. He asked what would happen if every physical sensation we experience, every sight, sound, and touch, was nothing more than a hallucinatory dream. He realized that even if his entire physical reality was an illusion, his thoughts would still exist. For Descartes, this meant the conscious mind had to be something entirely separate from the material body. This diagram shows the core concept of dualism. It divides human existence into two distinct entities, the physical shell and an immaterial soul or mind. Generations of philosophers and religious traditions have built their definition of human identity on this exact premise, the idea that the core of who you are exists completely independently of your physical form. But separating the mind and body creates an immediate physical dilemma. If the conscious mind has no physical shape, weight, or motion, how exactly does it command your biological muscles to move? Early thinkers struggled to solve this impossible physics equation. The French philosopher Nicolas Malebranche went so far as to claim that when you decide to reach for a fork, it is actually God who intervenes to physically move your hand. Relying on continuous divine intervention highlights the unsolvable physics problem required to make dualism work. Modern psychology and neuroscience have largely abandoned the concept, moving toward a strictly biological reality. To understand the modern neuroscientific view of identity, we have to look at the body as an active construction site rather than just a vehicle. From the moment you are born, your physical interaction with the world sends massive amounts of raw data to your brain through the sense of sight, the perception of sound, and the feeling of touch. This animated diagram illustrates how the brain processes that incoming information. Sensory inputs constantly feed into a central network, creating complex physical maps and representations of the external world. Over time, those continuously updating physical maps fuse together. They become responsible for regulating and generating your entire subjective experience of being a conscious self. This process relies heavily on proprioception, your subtle, invisible sense of balance and the relative location of your body parts. It acts as the constant physical anchor for your consciousness. This is exactly why the rubber hand illusion tricks you. Your mind relies entirely on incoming external bodily input to maintain its boundaries, making it highly vulnerable to misleading physical signals. If you sit in a silent room and close your eyes, you cannot simply imagine your body away. Those baseline physical sensations are the literal biological building blocks of your conscious mind. Our understanding of the mind-body connection now sets the technical boundaries for the next generation of human tools. We are currently designing neural prosthetics and wearable robots meant to act as physical extensions of ourselves. Because the brain builds its sense of self by mapping physical sensation, our neural pathways could eventually adapt to these devices. Given the right sensory representations, your brain could literally claim ownership of a robotic limb. Then there is the radical technological goal of mind uploading, the pursuit of immortal life by transferring a human consciousness directly into a computer. But executing these advanced technologies is impossible if we rely on an outdated, dualistic definition of how the mind actually operates. If the self is constructed from biological inputs, transferring human consciousness to a hard drive might be impossible without a physical form. To keep a digital mind conscious, engineers would likely have to build a highly sophisticated simulated body capable of delivering continuous, complex physical sensations back to the uploaded brain. The idea that the mind is a function of a living organism, inseparable from its physical state, was a cornerstone of Aristotle's philosophy, a view that parallels the Buddhist concept of an interdependent, embodied self. We are not immaterial ghosts trapped in temporary shells. We are incredibly complex organisms, sculpted by millions of years of evolution to process the world through a physical network of neurons. Every touch, sight, and physical feeling feeds the continuous data stream that constructs your identity. These biological sensations literally build the conscious mind you call yourself.